Citizens United, dark money, and full disclosure.
Here's how to sound smart about super PACs.
We'll get to the video in just a minute, but if you're looking for a job or might be curious about finding another job in the future, you should head over to ziprecruiter.com/TYT. It is the largest job alert program and platform in the US, and by large, I mean tens of thousands of different employers just looking for a candidate like you to put into a new position. Could be your dream job, and you know what? It's really efficient too, because you can have literally dozens of different jobs that you're interested in, and you can apply to all of them with just one button. All you have to do is upload your resume, your cover letter, and they make it as fast and efficient as possible, and at the same time 100% free. You go to ziprecruiter.com/TYT, sign up. There's no way to pay. In fact, you'll end up getting paid because you're going to get a new job. As election season heats up, you are going to hear the term super PAC thrown around quite a bit, but what is it actually? Well, a super PAC is an organization that can raise unlimited amounts of money for spending on federal elections. While candidates and regular PACs, political action committees, are only permitted to raise a few $1,000s from any one individual, a super PAC can accept unlimited contributions from any U.S. citizen or corporation or union.
Super PACs can make it rain.
Exactly, as much as they want, possibly. Now, there are some limitations. Super PACs can't give any money directly to political candidates or coordinate directly with campaigns. Instead, they spend heavily on their own independently produced ads promoting their preferred candidates, which is why the official term for a super PAC is an independent expenditure-only committee. And so that's one of the major limitations on it. It has some pros in that it can raise as much money as it wants, that it can spend as much money as it wants, but it can only spend it in certain ways.
Yeah, so it can only spend, like, it can make a commercial, let's say a TV advertisement, but it can't be, so at the end it doesn't say, like, this was approved by so-and-so.
Exactly, yeah. And it
difference.
can't speak directly with a campaign to figure out what would you like us to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll get into how that actually functions. Now, what about regular PACs, the non-super variety? Well, the activities of PACs are restricted in several ways. An individual can contribute a maximum of $5,000 to any particular PAC. PACs can then give that money directly to candidates and parties, up to a maximum of $5,000 per candidate and $15,000 per party committee, or use it to fund ads of their own. And so there's a big difference between $5,000 and $40 million, for instance.
Well,
and that's the
one's
big difference.
5,000 and one's infinity.
Exactly,
So
near
of course
infinity.
there's a big difference.
Yeah. Or far more than I have to spend on it anyway. Now,
But they can have the influence of the actual candidate themselves.
With the $5,000 with
Right.
regular PACs, yes.
Yeah.
Which in some cases might be an advantage and others might not be. Candidates can be somewhat limited in terms of what they can put in an ad because they have to be directly responsible for it.
Do they have to have their permission, or can they be a PAC and still do their independent advertisements?
There are PACs that are not directly affiliated with candidates now.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah. Now, where did we get super PACs? It is a fairly recent thing. At issue in Citizens United versus FEC, which was decided in 2010, it was an existing law that restricted corporate and union spending on election season ads. They could not pay for ads with their general funds, but instead had to set up PACs that would be regulated. And there were quite a few regulations, as we alluded to earlier. The court ruled that this was unconstitutional and that corporations and unions have a First Amendment right to freedom of speech, which then current regulations were throttling. And that and a couple of other court cases that were ruled on in 2010 as well led to the creation of these super PACs, which would not have those sorts of regulations. And if you look at year by year the amount spent by outside groups, you see that, yes, in 2010 that decision did have a big effect because you saw an absolutely huge increase in the amount of spending. And yes, 2012 is a presidential
year.
Of course, yes, but 2008 was too, and you're seeing almost 3 times as much being spent one presidential election.
But it's interesting too that even in a non-election year in 2014, that there's still a ton of money. People just like gearing up for probably 2016.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's for the congressional elections, which normally have some spending, not nearly as much as in a presidential election.
Right.
And so you can see, like in 2010 and 2006, like look at 2006, like how much lower that is when really you have Senate and the House on the line. Almost 10 times as much money was spent. So this does have a huge effect. Now, some would say that this is a good thing because corporations and unions should have free speech. I guess that's what they would say. And that it's a good thing that they get to raise money and spend money to get the political outcomes they want. Others would say that this huge amount of money is making it so that whatever influence you should have with what you donate or what you say in trying to communicate with a politician is going to be washed out by just the huge amount of money being spent here. It's up to you to decide if you think super PACs are a good or a bad thing, but this is the basic information about how they were created and the effect they've had over the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that though, I mean, what you were saying about you, but there are some people who do have that money and want to have that influence because they, hold such a large part of society with whatever their businesses are that are allowing them to, donate infinite amount of money to a cause. So it's cool. It's interesting. Like it's cool that they can have their say in that way, but also it does kind of, for the smaller guys, the smaller fish in the sea, it's harder for them to have their say with those big power players.
Totally. Yep. So let us know what you think about the long-term effect of super PACs. Do you think they'll be around forever, or will there be some new law or constitutional amendment that will possibly rein them in the future? Let us know down in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.